Hello and welcome everyone for the second episode of 2023 of the Culture Nerd Podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about this new fan campaign that appeared over the last few days on social media, specifically on Twitter, the Sell the Snyderverse to Netflix campaign. Along with that, there's also another hashtag, Sell ZSJL to Netflix and Sell the Snyder. There's so many different variations of this hashtag. Fans are now campaigning to have DC, Warner Brothers Discovery, to lease the Snyderverse over to Netflix or sell it, or any one of those options, so they can have it continue there, because it sounds like the writing is on the wall. They know the reboot is here and Snyderverse is over, but they want it just to continue elsewhere. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about if this fan campaign is even possible, if it's doomed to fail from the start, or anything in the between. So let's just get right into it. Let's start talking, and let's address that big elephant. How you doing, Prime?
Look, the champ is here. The champ is strong, everybody. About to knock some lights out. Prime, what is going on with the internet? Why do they think they can just create hashtags every day?
Hey, it's called freedom of speech, man. People can do whatever they want to do. I mean, hey, whatever floats their boat. I'm not, it's entertaining for me, but whatever that makes them feel better, hey, more power to them. Whatever it is that they like.
I absolutely am entertained by it. This is one of my favorite pieces of fiction to pop up in the last week. Let's get into it. First and foremost, this is dead on arrival. Nobody behind the scenes is taking this seriously, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I know that a lot of fans saw the recent Forbes article as validation that they've been heard. It's not the validation you want.
Okay.
Before we kind of jump into that, I do want to let's kind of breathe clear the air a little bit. I mean, I love the Snyderverse. I supported release the Snyder Cut from the beginning. I campaigned to restore the Snyderverse for a while with everybody too. I've talked to a lot of people behind the scenes. I've talked to Zack Snyder, I've talked to Debbie Snyder, I've talked to various producers, VFX artists, even Ray Fisher, Ray Porter. I've talked to a lot of people involved in these projects. My love of this medium should never be into question. So all these haters on Twitter who now think that I've turned coat and now hate on the Snyderverse, no, I would gladly take the Snyderverse being restored over anything else. That is not a question. But there's also a question with having blindly following hope and faith on something that's not possible, or just accepting the reality that you're in. I could either be in denial, hope for something that won't happen, and curse everything that is happening, or I can ride the wave and let it be what it is. It sucks, but Michael, why does your tag say I hate the rain? Is that because of LA's flooding?
Yeah, LA is. I am in a Noah's boat of my apartment. I had no electricity most of today. I am tired. I was running around town to figure out where I can even do this. I'm so happy to be from my home, and now I'm hearing this nonsense about kids wanting it to go to Netflix. Let's talk, even before we talk about what this would become, how does a deal like this work? So Netflix, Warner Brothers would give Netflix a price, right? What would that price be?
So I was talking about this the other day with a buddy of mine, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't want the fans to start crucifying him too. Let's just say the day that Zack Snyder announced the Snyder Cut, he had a panel of fans that were there. He was one of those people on that panel. That's all I'm going to say. He's been a great guy. He's been a great friend, talking to him for years since this whole thing started. We talked in detail about this. A lot of fans think simply, why don't they just do what Rian Johnson did with Glass Onion? Why don't they just do what NBC did with Manifest and just produce the next season? Why don't they just do what DC did with Sandman and just do it that way. But the reality is, when you have a product of the studio like this, a movie, with all these different characters, all these different licenses, all these different individual IPs, because each character is an individual IP. And it's not just Justice League as a whole as the IP. It's Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Lois Lane.
Characters that were invented in the 30s and the 40s, and there are lots of names attached to Superman, lots of names attached to Batman. Thank God some of the names that were forgot in the past are now back on Batman, but there are rights associated with all of these characters.
Rights and royalties associated with each and every character, including Parademons, including Darkseid, including Granny Goodness, including every one of them. And Zach's plan for part 2 and 3 involved even more characters. Like,
I feel so bad watching how sad you two get by hearing what could have been. And it hurts me to see it affect you two this way.
So this is what came up over the weekend. This little infographic, SellSnyderVerseToNetflix, trending event, only 2 hashtags per tweet, tag @Netflix. Use these hashtags. We're going to do this thing on 2/1/4/23, and 2/1/4 being a significant number because that was the original runtime cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League, 214 minutes. Once he got the carte blanche and the free reign from HBO, it ballooned over 4 hours. So that was what people are after. They expect in about a month, 4 weeks from now, that this big trending event to happen. Everyone wants to tag Netflix. They want to bombard Netflix's social media team, piss off those little interns, just make them all feel bad. Just overload them, right?
Okay, when you showed me that graphic of all those actors, it goes back to conversations we had 2 weeks. I see, just by looking at all those actors, I see $60 million. Because each of them is going to ask for $10 million, if not more, for whatever this movie is. Then the rights.
60 million. 60 million is probably the most unrealistically conservative number you could throw out there.
I figure like Ezra's getting too much money, but like Gal Gadot's not getting enough money.
Put it like this. Put that graph up. Put that picture back up. So let's look at this. Let's look at this realistically. All right. What we know by their actual amounts that they want. We know Gal Gadot wanted 20 million. Am I correct? We also know that Jason Momoa, about that, okay, regardless of the fact, that's 20 million right there. Now, Jason Momoa, we already know his stock has tremendously risen because of the success of Aquaman. So we're going to say that's probably on par with Gal Gadot as well. Let's round that up to about 15, say close to 20 million. Henry Cavill, we already know that's 10 million something plus. Ben Affleck, that man ain't cheap at all.
And not only that, he won't do it unless his production company is also involved.
I was just about to say that. And the only ones that are low tier is Ray Fisher and Ezra Miller. Now, just by the success and what they're doing just as alone, and I'm speculating on the actual price for them two, because I don't know their value just yet. But the other 4, I pretty much know the range. I would say Ray Fisher is probably in maybe 2, maybe 3, 4 million. And Ezra is probably in there as well until we find out the success of the Flash movie.
And mind you, that's probably per project.
You say what?
That's probably per project as well. So that's saying Justice League 2, not Justice League 2, 3, and all the spinoffs. It's probably each one individually.
And people forget that. And people fail to realize is that the Snyderverse, with the cast that they have, these are not cheap individuals. You can name it down. William Dafoe, not cheap. Lawrence Fishburne, not cheap.
Amy Adams,
not cheap.
Amber Heard, probably pretty cheap.
J.K. Simmons, not cheap. Who else? Hold on.
And mind you, that's not even including if Zach's going to just jump right into his plans for part 2. Half those people are dead.
Yeah.
Isn't Nicole Kidman in one of the? Isn't she an Aquaman?
Yeah, she's Aquaman's mom.
I forgot about Nicole.
Yeah, they all have. They're stacked. all of the other people in Wonder Woman's movie, right? They have to get all of those people. It's a huge cast.
Because part of the plot for these projects involved the invasion of Atlantis, the invasion of Themyscira, the invasion of every solo film's collective world, and all the characters having to appear and get either murdered or something horrific, and then have them all get restored in this new timeline that's supposed to also happen. And there were so many things, because the plot involved the nightmare timeline, everything going awry, the world's destroyed, Flash going back in time, them getting a sort of a do-over, everyone not being dead, but then dying in the final battle anyways, and then Ezra finally saying, I'm going to change it all again, and going back further and flashpointing the whole universe. It's a lot of callbacks.
Going back to it. Okay, so we're talking more than like $100 million when everything is said and done. Because
I would say with every cast member within every spin-off project and everything in between, you're looking about 125 to 150 million just for the cast of everybody
by themselves. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So then we're talking double that for the movie, and then we're talking double that for advertising. Now, let's say Netflix doesn't advertise the way that right? Because Netflix sometimes goes cheap on advertising, right? Like they just, you see ads for it, but you don't necessarily see it everywhere. Warner Brothers would demand that this would have to be, they would want you to advertise it.
They don't advertise that much. That's right.
Netflix's biggest advertisement was the Cloverfield paradox, where they spent like $6 million on a teaser on Super Bowl.
Yep, that's right.
Dropped it and said, by the way, this will be on in 2 hours. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll see you afterwards. That was the most expensive advertising they've ever done.
Yep.
It was pretty cool. I watched the movie. It worked very well.
And it worked. That was the thing. It worked. But the thing is that how many people, and it's the thing that people fail to realize when it comes down to Netflix, and that people fail to understand. This is not where you're going to make a bona fide profit where you're going to the theatrical. You're going by the actual views and the signups of your actual platform and who's actually going to watch it. So we're not even seeing the numbers fully of what Netflix got. We know that they're doing good because of as you look at the metrics, what is it they go by? The amount of minutes that has been viewed. Okay. So I don't even know how they even actually come up with the actual subscription.
And based on that, this is why Zack Snyder is going to be successful at Netflix. There will not be a metric of movie ticket sales. It's going to be people watching it. And whether you like or hate his movies get watched. When they're good, people watch them multiple times. Yeah. When people think his movies are bad, they watch them multiple times to show them their friends. So
before we
these analytics work in his benefit.
We just got FatalJay joining us as well. He's been wanting to come on the show.
Surprise!
The entirety of season 1, I think. Like he's been like every week. Why didn't you invite me? I'm like, my bad. Every time we record at weird hours for him. Even today, Jay, you were saying that you're like, I can't make it. I got a haircut, and I'm like, we'll make something work.
I had to get the fresh cut, man.
He's looking so good.
Man, I always enjoyed TCN. Prime is my brother. Hey, me and Prime is real brothers, man, because sometimes we'll be fighting it out in the DMs. Hey, you wrong. No, you wrong. Shut the F up. You shut the F up. But hey, man.
That's great.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But I really want to. Have y'all touched the topic yet? The topic?
We're talking spit on it. Hit it.
We're talking about just the unrealistic side of just securing the budget for the cast. Because the cast itself would probably be about $150 million just to secure everyone for the project. But we haven't even talked about licensing fees, production fees. And if it would be a joint venture.
Who gets the toy rights? Who gets the rights to the Netflix Superman? The toys and the merchandising part of it is the way Warner Brothers made money on all of the past superhero movies, right? Like Batman was this movie. Batman made more money through merchandise than even physical ticket sales back in the early 90s.
Wow.
Yeah. So when we're talking about these things, who gets the right to Apocalypse Wonder Woman costume, because this is going to sell toys. And the toy part of it, I don't think Warner Brothers wants to even give up. That's theirs because that's where they make the money now. Because they don't make it. What are they going to make it on Blu-ray releases? They don't make it on those. And they got rid of movie stores. So you're not having second windfalls of these movies 6 months after the fact. So it's got to be toys. And no one wants to give those rights up.
This is what I
brought that up.
This is what I tell everybody. I'll be real quick and fast. This is what I tell a lot of people. From a fan's point of view, that's a brilliant idea to say put the Snyderverse on Netflix. But as a business-minded person, it's no way possible that could work out. It's no way. It's no way. And this is the real kicker out of all of this, man. I think Zack Snyder deep down is really happy where he's at because he's creating his own IP. This is his movie. This is just his whole thing. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong. He's gonna make twice, if not thrice, as much with Rebel Moon than he is with doing Warner Brothers Justice League, DC Justice League.
Because it's a new IP. Guess what? They already talked about the toy rights. That ship he showed us when he goes, "Oh, I love Henry Cavill." That's a whole playset, my friends. That's a whole, and we don't even know where this is going to go. There's a thinking that Rebel Moon is made. I think it's going to go a little bit older, but I think the stuff's going to be cool. But if it even goes a little bit younger, let's say it's like a light PG-13, that's all playsets. Now we're talking Legos. Now we're talking mugs. Now we're talking all the things that people want, which they stumbled into with Stranger Things and were not prepared for. I feel like it took the Stranger Things machine a while to get all that merchandise out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard to really quantify how unrealistic this is. And I think what you guys are all saying is right on the nose. I mean, there's merchandise rights, there's toys. Netflix has always been very, very hit and miss, right? I mean, when DreamWorks made Voltron, they bumped out a butt ton of toys, but then they found that Voltron was a show that was aimed at the wrong audience. So the toys didn't really sell because the toys were made for like little kids, but the people who were watching it were like late teens to early adults. And then as the show went on, I mean, I liked the show. I loved the show. I thought it was a fantastically done show. The show also incorporated things like gay marriage and things like that as the show concluded. And by that point, in the final season, parents weren't even letting their kids watch it anymore because there was a giant conservative parent factor that just didn't want their kids seeing that.
But thank you.
But you make issues.
You make an excellent point though, because I used to watch this show on Cartoon Network. It was pretty good. It was called Symbiotic Titan. I don't know if y'all ever heard of this show.
Hell yeah, I know about Symbiotic Titan.
Okay, good. Somebody know. So every episode was a banger. Every episode was dope. But the show got canceled in one season. You want to know why? Because the merch didn't sell. It wasn't no merch.
Yeah, and funny enough, even with all of these cutesy shows, I really like Adventure Time, but I can see if that's not your jam, or Steven Universe, I can see if that's not your jam. But the shows sell toys. They have a very large thing. The toys are not offensive. You can sell them to younger viewers. The older viewers want them as well. So, there's just merchandise there. And it's not true with all of these different properties.
I want to ask a quick question, though. Because sometimes I think the Snyderverse community is something that's real huge. And then sometimes I'm thinking it's not really that huge because as far as merch, you don't hear about sales of merch when it comes to the Snyderverse, like those Todd McFarland toys and all that different type of stuff. Speak on it, Brian.
I will say this, and that's a very good thing that you said that, because see, you have to remember, pretty much all of us is coming from a Twitter place. Okay, we're not seeing it from the other avenues or other places where people are on social media. And you also got to remember this too. A lot of people not really on their social media like that. They're just not. And if they do be on it, they'll probably be on it for like 5 minutes and they get off. So anything that's actually going on, they pretty much not going to really know it. The Snyder community is big. Think about it. It's really, really big across the world. You have the people that are the hardcores that's on social media all the time. You got the people that are in the middle, and then you got the people that don't be on it at all. Like I just said, about 5 minutes, they're done, and that's it. And they probably don't even know what the hell is going on. So you have to look at it from that perspective. We're just looking at it from Twitter. And like I said at the beginning, we don't know what's going on at Instagram. The way Instagram is set up, you're never going to know what's going on unless you're following people that have the same interests as you. If it's on Facebook, you don't know unless you're in a group. Pretty much Facebook is pretty much for what? Colleagues, friends, family. You know, if you're not in a group, I would say, what's another one? Vero, the way Vero's set up, you really don't see a lot of stuff outside of Twitter. So you got to look at it. Twitter is so fast. It's like this. So you can really see stuff that you relate to like that. But everywhere else, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
So it's going to make it seem like it's small. And it's really not. So, but it's just that people don't interact. You know, if you go on Reddit, I forgot about Reddit. They got a whole bunch of DC communities on Reddit. Yeah, you will see a lot of people on there. I'm in a DC cinematic group and they got like over 100,000 people in it. So, you know, and it's all divisive in the group. So it's just like, it's good to talk, but then at the same time, you have to be, depending on what platform that you're on, you got to be in the right place at the right time to actually see it. So
see, I wonder, and I wonder what, you know, we got Snyder's movie in the middle of a very weird time in the pandemic when it wasn't going to hit theaters. I wonder if that movie, I bet people would have gone and sat through that 4-hour movie, and I think they would have seen it multiple times. And I think this would be a very different conversation if we had ticket sales associated with it, but we don't. And whatever those numbers were attractive enough for Discovery to want to buy Warner Brothers, but then they canceled all those projects anyway. So I don't know where, you know, I don't know where that falls under there. So
on that note,
real quick, Taylor, yeah. I promise I'll be fast. This is the reason why I ask questions like this, okay? Prime was the first person to put me on to Black Adam. I wasn't going to watch it. You know, I was still in that Snyderverse mode. And Prime said, you need to go see this motherfreaker because it's going to be super dope. It's absolutely dope. You will love it. I went to go see it, loved it. Okay. I'm thinking this is going to blow up. We got Henry Cavill, the Snyderverse Superman. He's back. It's going to blow up. It's going to explode. It's going to hit 1 billion. Straight crickets when it comes to Black Adam. So I'm trying to figure out, is the Snyderverse fandom big or did they not show up or what's going on? It's crazy.
I'm gonna say the key point. I'm gonna say this from the actual general casual audience and from the people that I have observed and the things that I've read, not just from videos and then articles I've read from that. The reason why a lot of people didn't show up for Black Adam is one reason and one reason only. They didn't know the character. So they wasn't going to take their time to go out to go watch it. Regardless if Dwayne Johnson was in it or not, they didn't know who the character was. Okay? If he was presented in a cameo in a well-known movie, then people will know of it, and then they probably would have went out. Only like hardcore Shazam. DC fans went to go out to go see it. Okay? That is one of the main reasons. And when I heard that, I was like, yep, that general casual audience. And it's crazy. So you gotta, yeah. I know Taylor wanted to say something. Go ahead, bro.
So everyone I've talked to behind the scenes, everyone that I've spoken to, every VFX artist, every random Joe Schmo on the set of Warner Brothers, they've all kind of said the very similar thing, was that when Discovery came in, they looked at the numbers. The problem was the previous administration did so much damage to hiding the numbers that the numbers, that was it. There's no real numbers. They don't exist because the studio made Zack Snyder's Justice League a flagship of HBO Max. So every subscriber who joined HBO Max at launch counted toward the success of Zack Snyder's Justice League because they didn't see a fluctuation of members or views or anything because they were already there. You had anomalies happen with Suicide Squad, with Wonder Woman 84, with every other random movie of the day and date release, you had those fluctuations because people were like, oh, this movie's coming out, so let's do this. But everyone who wanted to see Zack Snyder's Justice League was already there because they had already subscribed at day one for the hope of that movie. So the numbers didn't change. That's why they didn't look that big. If, like Michael said, if they would have done a limited release and put Zack Snyder's Justice League out in theaters for a month or two before they dropped on HBO Max, regardless of a pandemic, the fans would have showed up.
Yep.
And then you would have a number that people would have gone off of.
I would have showed up.
Yeah, and they did.
I would have had like 5 masks on and I would have been there. Like,
right. I mean, I think a lot of people would have shown up just for the simple fact. I think the only reason why people was the thing they was looking at. Even when Zach and Deborah even said it, there was something that this movie could never be in the theatrical. But at the same time, if you really think about it, you can pretty much fit that movie in for 3 showings for a day.
Yeah.
You could pretty much set it for 3 showings a day. See, they're so focused on how many showings that they can get in the theater in a day.
Well, not even that. During
would
the
have
pandemic,
become a midnight movie. You would literally stay up all night. You would get hyped up. You'd go at midnight. We'd holler at the screen. You go to Waffle House afterwards because it's going to get out 4 a.m. or something like that. But it didn't even get to live that life, right? We didn't even get to go to that place.
And mind you, this movie came out during the pandemic. So how many other movies came out during the pandemic? They could have had 3 showings a day per screen and probably had half the theaters because no other movies were coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
FatalJay, did you see the Shazam movie?
Yes, sir. I seen it, enjoyed it too.
Great. I feel like they tried so hard to hide that Black Adam is part of that universe. If they would have had Zachary Levi show up and go, hey, y'all, I'm Shazam, but you don't get to hang out with me right now.
I told Prime, I think I told Prime or somebody that. I said, at least have him show up for 2 minutes, 1 minute, so people can make that connection. And then like, oh, yeah, that's that guy. So he's connected to this guy. Now, I know they tried to do the Black Wizard guy, but the Black Wizard guy was a minor character in the movie. They should have did Levi.
He's not a minor character to all the DC fans, but again,
but to the audience
flipping through it, absolutely. And in fact, that movie starts with a story. I know that The Rock did not want silly in that movie. Like all the humor in that movie is like Terminator 2 humor, right? Where he's like, this is me helping you. I'm helping. If they would have had Shazam read a storybook to a bunch of orphan kids and they're like, that's you. And he's like, no. This is not me. This is a bad guy. And the kids go, boo. But then we find out, oh no, it's not about that. It's actually really complicated. And the person that we thought it was, and right, that movie was good. It was just packaged wrong. And then the way that we got it, it just never connected it. And the reason why they don't want, right. And the reason why they don't want to connect it is they're canceling all these other movies.
And you know what? I would have, if it was me in charge, I would have dropped Shazam 2, introduced Black Adam, and then drop Black Adam. Yeah. I know that's the old Marvel tactic, but it works.
Oh, no. DC's model is to announce a movie is coming out and then change its release date 7 times. So who knows when that movie's going to come out.
So the other thing that I heard was that Black Adam was very much a litmus test for the studio to see if the Snyderverse is worth continuing.
Wow.
Because part of
I kept
Dwayne
saying
Johnson's
people.
Part of Dwayne Johnson's pitch was, let us use Superman and we will craft this whole universe around Black Adam and Superman. But if you don't put him in the trailers, people won't know there's a connection because people weren't showing up, and people who did show up saw the thing and they're like, wait, Superman's in this world?
I'll take it one step further. I think Shazam should have shown up in the 3rd act of Black Adam, where him and Shazam have to work together to defeat that guy. So instead of Black Adam being like the same level as the it's good Mega Man, and then you fight the evil Mega Man at some point in the video game. I would have had them get together. And then at the end of it, Black Adam goes, I'll never do this again with you. And tell your wizard cat, just anything to make it robust. Because I hear these things where it's like, oh, they wanted to be part of the universe. If you are not part of this Twitter group, you don't know any of this stuff. Period. Right?
Go real quick though with Taylor. I think you on point with that one because I always had that in my heart of hearts where I felt like this was the last chance for Snyderverse fans to show up for this movie, for to have because if this would have hit $1 billion, I think we would have had that man.
Oh,
we would have hit that. We would have had that Man of Steel Superman movie.
And funny enough, what DC movie of the last go around did really well? The Suicide Squad movie. And which way are they going? They go in the James Gunn route. Now, I don't know. I don't think that's a one-to-one comparison, but it's very interesting that here's this litmus test, because the Suicide Squad movie also came out during a pandemic, also did good stream numbers, also did some ticket sales.
And not a lot, but
right,
it did better stream sales.
But it did better ticket sales than Zack Snyder's Justice League, which had 0 ticket sales.
Yeah.
And while it's not the same as the ticket sales for Black Adam, I feel that they were like, this is the direction we're going to go. And this has only proved them right.
With that logic, it just didn't make sense because, you had a film that was theatrical, and then you had a film that was just going straight to streaming. So you can't, that's not a good, and if they're looking at it like that, that's a horrible comparison to do. And I understand how business and how they work and how executives and how they think sometimes, oh my God, oh Lord. But that really wasn't, and then on top of that, even though both of them critically had good ratings, okay, one of them made money, the other one didn't. And it is what it is. If they're looking at the money aspect and what they made a profit on, and that's what they're going by, it sounds crazy. That sounds crazy, but I wouldn't put it past them if they was thinking like that.
Well, fellas, can we just get down to the point here? Because I've always wondered this. Okay, when Zack Snyder's Justice League dropped, a few months on down the line, we started getting these numbers and algorithm things showing up about what it did on HBO Max, what it did in China, what it did on these other streaming services. Now, according to those numbers, this was like one of the biggest things on planet Earth. Now, if this is the biggest thing on planet Earth, why haven't Warner Brothers just said, hey, man, let's just give him his Snyderverse back? Or that wasn't the true numbers.
Some of it was true, some of it wasn't. And that's the sad reality is that, and also you have to look at who the numbers were for, right? Because HBO Max did not exist in every one of those countries that it blew up in. Other platforms did, and those other platforms leased the movie, and they had the numbers. So HBO didn't benefit from the numbers there. They benefited.
Netflix Scandinavia had a great month that year, right? Had a great month with streaming it, but it wasn't the real numbers. You know what I mean?
But it wasn't numbers that mattered to them, because the numbers to them are like, okay, you guys have your theater blew up on it, fantastic, but we don't own a stake in that theater. We don't own anything. You paid us $100,000 so we could play our movie. That's all we got was $100,000.
So from my understanding, just the politics kind of screwed up the Snyderverse too.
Very much so.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And good thing that Taylor said that, because I didn't think about that. We know if you collectively put everything in full perspective and add the numbers up, it did extremely well. Extremely well. Even with merchandise sales, trust me, I got plenty of merch from it.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know if they still got the merch on the DC on the DC site. Yeah. For the Todd McFarland stuff. I don't even think they order shirts and stuff.
So I don't have to pick up my camera. This is in the corner is the entire McFarland Wave, including all the variants.
Wow.
I bought them all.
See, the only reason I ain't got them, I'm not a big action figure guy, but when it
that was the only action figure. Look,
I got all the t-shirts.
I got Steppenwolf, I've got Darkseid, I've got Armored Darkseid, I've got 2 different Supermans,
got them all,
the
man.
black suit and the red suit.
I only got 3 of them.
I'm like FatalJay. I'm my own action figure. Get me that graphic tee, baby. Let me show you what I got.
Don't get me wrong, because Prime already know I got Transformers in the closet though. That's the only action figures that I rock with is Transformers.
I got little Gundams on my desk. And I got Transformers on my shelf.
I like Gundam.
I love when cuts of nerddom go, I'm not into that thing. Oh, but action figures? Oh, I got a closet full of them. But I'm not into action figures. Oh, okay.
But even with that, it was successful because we know, even with the merchandise and even with the wear and everything. Yeah. I think a lot of people bought a lot of the actual clothes. I did. I got 3 shirts. I got 3 figures.
Yeah.
Yep.
Taylor got the whole set. It goes on. And then when it came out on physical copy, well, we know what happened with that.
It blew up.
So, but he's right. They're only
So-
looking at domestic numbers. They're not even looking at the other numbers. And if people, and which is crazy because people that's domestically, they really don't show up for nothing, anything anyway. All the major numbers is overseas.
Avatar is blowing up, and it's like 70% of its box office take right now is overseas.
Overseas.
China.
China is
Yeah.
making that franchise a thing.
Yeah, but
Yes.
it speaks to a global world market. Like I totally understand that. You know, one of the criticisms of is, you know, it feels like a video game or cutscenes and stuff like that. Well, if you don't got a PS5, I'll go watch Avatar 2 and live in that video game for a little bit. Looks great, plays great. You know what I mean? Like that's also part of all of these things. Let's take this conversation for a second and flip it a different way, because unfortunately, this ain't ever gonna happen. That's too much money there. But let's say Netflix did a Sony thing, because Sony took Spider-Man and turned Spider-Man into a whole universe. Just everything is Spider-Man. And guess what? Audiences are totally down for it. Is there a DC besides a Superman? Because Superman's one of those people. Is there another character that we could build a universe off of? Now, we keep talking. I really want Green Lantern in this new things, but I could very well see like, yo, Netflix, you get the rights to Green Lantern. Go flush that out and we'll link that in with ours somehow, right? Some sort of MCU Sony deal. Are there any DC characters that you think could be a platform like that to build a universe?
I don't know what the freak the deal is with Green Lantern, man. Like, why does he haven't used him yet? Like, forget the
Jeff
right.
Johns.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
like
Jeff Johns.
he stalled that project so long and kept those rights, kept with the Ghostwire Productions, whatever they call themselves. He kept those so trapped that they couldn't do a damn thing with it.
And it's crazy that, you know, something that is important to Hollywood right now is a diversity of characters, a diversity of voices, and a diversity of heroes on screen so that a multitude of audience members can feel connected to it. Green Lantern has all of that. I'm talking about everybody, all flavors of the rainbow from different viewpoints, and they all get it wrong because they all got this ring, and we get to hear different things. Because I think if you were to Star Trek Green Lantern and have them take issues of today but put aliens on top of it, I think that show is dynamite.
You got a point there because it has merit, but I'll tell you this: Green Lantern will be extremely expensive. And just only that. That's why I say people just don't understand. If you know the core and how deep it goes, they try to make the core Earth centric. You can't do that,
Right?
and that's why it will be extremely expensive. But I would say this: I'll go this far. That will actually blow. It would literally blow up if they decided to do it. I put it out there. It's by Milestone. I put it out there.
Oh yeah.
I put it out there.
Yeah.
If they so happen to go, if you want to go with some characters, and you want to make a nice universe out of it, and somebody gets the rights, and you negotiate. Shout out to McDuffie, rest in peace.
McDuffie.
If they decide to do that and go the Milestone route, you would get some great content. What I'm referring to is Icon, Rocket, Hardware, the Blood Syndicate. If you decide to do that, that would be fantastic. And it wouldn't be no cheesy crap neither. And it would be relatable. Static Shock. So you gotta think about certain things that's why I said DC has too much stuff that you can dive into, and you can go deep in that well and get a whole bunch of stuff. People just don't know. They just don't. That their library is gigantic.
Well, Prime, real quick though, you said something that I've been thinking about during this whole show with the Netflix Snyderverse thing. You said with the Green Lantern that it would be expensive.
Very.
Okay, if we want this Snyderverse Justice League 2, Justice League 3, and we wanted to be movie big budget, Netflix doesn't really do big budget films like that.
That's why we're saying that it won't work.
They
It
also have
wouldn't
been
work.
notoriously canceling projects because of budget, like Cowboy Bebop. Critically kind of mixed. People loved it. People hated it. It was expensive. They saw that it had a huge, great numbers, but it didn't have numbers that lasted more than a few weeks, so they killed it.
I'm an anime head. I witnessed it. Yep.
$18.99. Fantastic cult following. Everyone and their mom was watching it. Everyone was like, what the hell is happening on this friggin' boat? And then they cancel it.
Yep. And I'm pissed.
Since finding out it's been canceled, I didn't want to watch it because I was like, well, what if I really like it? Like, what's the point?
Still watch it. Even if the first season is it ends on a note where you can still be like, wow, that was cool. I still want to know more. But it had kind of somewhat closure in its own way. It needed to have more, but it's also like there was also that other show that they did that was kind of in that same weirdness, like the OA, where they had 2 seasons of that and they could have wrapped it up with a couple more.
And Netflix does that all the time, Taylor.
Yeah.
2 seasons, that's it. I think that's going to happen with The Witcher. Yes, they're saying season 3 is coming, but we know season 4 is not going to last too much longer. It's season 2, that's it.
I had someone explain to me why the blood origin thing isn't good. And it basically, like, literally 10 minutes in, goes back on all of the established lore in the books. Like, just the moment the lady has a kid, like, just fans were like, oh, you just took a shit on my chest. You told me you weren't going to do it, and then you did it to me.
You know why they did it? Now, I'm kind of loosely a Witcher fan.
Oh, I think they did it because they want to be like God of War.
I think they did it because they know Henry Cavill is leaving. So they trying to change that whole lore up now.
Yeah,
you know?
So we can have a new. Oh, did you know he was standing to the right? If you move the camera this way, you would have seen him.
Yeah. The guy that came. Yeah.
Well, and it's frustrating as well because it's these deals do happen because HBO's version of Watchmen 2020 or whatever you're going to call that Watchmen show was fantastic.
Yeah.
Was so in world, was an amazing way to see these characters.
So the problem with that show was that HBO didn't not HBO, the people who were kind of running the production didn't want it connected to Zack Snyder's movie. They wanted it more toward the comics. But the creative staff who made the show wanted it to look like Zack Snyder's movie.
Oh,
it
reeks of Zack Snyder. The fact that they pretended like that wasn't real, the whole show aesthetic is Zack Snyder.
But it contradicted 90% of Zack Snyder's movies by everything that they did in the show. So it was one of those like, is this for the comic fans? Because this doesn't look like the comic. But is this for the Snyder fans? Because it doesn't fit with the Snyders. Like, it was caught in this weird, what are you kind of a moment.
And whatchamacallit, he hated
that show is what it is. Who?
I can't think of the man that created Watchmen. I can't think of that man.
He hates everything.
But doesn't he?
Yeah, I know he hates everything.
Y'all talking about Alan Moore?
Yeah, he hates everything.
He hates everything.
He sometimes he hate his own stuff.
I was about to say, isn't Watchmen about him hating the world and hating superheroes? Yeah, he just hates things. He's a hater.
Yeah, Alan Moore a trip, man. and he like a real life wizard. Like the stuff he believe in magic and stuff.
With him, it's don't hate the player, hate the game. It's, you know what I mean? Like he is a wizard man who writes stories which he pulls from the ether from aliens. And when the moment we read his stories, we interpret them incorrectly. You know what I mean? I feel like he would tell us, you don't know my words.
Yeah, because you were like, I love how Rorschach did it. No, that's not what he meant.
Nothing about my inspirations. You know nothing about me.
Yeah.
And I loved how in the sequel show, they're like, Rorschach inspired a bunch of alt-right crazies. And then even Alan Moore's like, that's not Rorschach.
Yeah.
No, that's wrong.
I mean,
guys
it's
are stupid.
entertaining. Don't get me wrong. The show was entertaining for what it was worth. But it just took away everything from
people.
I was like, okay.
But people misinterpret art all the time, right? Like cops like to listen to Rage Against the Machine. It's like, you are the machine. What do you mean you're listening to this music? You are the machine we are raging against.
And on that same note, cops like to use the Punisher symbol, and the Punisher is like the epitome of the cops have failed.
Yes.
So
all right, you guys are making me not sure if I should check this out because I know it's been years ago it dropped.
No.
But
all right, to be fair,
okay.
I watched it weekly when it came out. I loved it. I thought the finale was fantastic. It's good.
Okay.
Talking about the Watchmen series?
You
The
have
series.
to love
It's good.
both the comic and the movie. If you don't love one or the other, or if you hate one and love the other,
I love the movie.
Good.
You love the book?
Yes, I love the comic. I love the comic.
Enjoy the show.
You're gonna love
Okay.
it.
You enjoy the show.
I got the comic. I got the trade paperback.
All I would say is this: you take it for what it's worth, okay, and you watch it. It's in the Watchmen lore. There is some things that's changed, okay, and it has the aesthetics from certain things from the book, certain things from Zack Snyder stuff. Because like Tyler said, they wanted to make it look like that, but it had nothing to do with it.
Okay, I think I like that though. That
But you're gonna love it. That's what I'm saying. Because
Okay.
people are trying to make it, they're trying to make it when they look at something, well, it gotta be like the book, or it gotta be like this, it gotta be like no, it is a production in that world. It doesn't have to be exactly like it. You're just in that world using those characters. It's good. It's basically it's a Watchmen Elseworld story.
Sure.
Yeah.
Put it like that.
For sure. It's really, and as a TV show with actors who are handed scripts,
Yep.
Jeremy Irons knocks it out of the park.
Oh, Jeremy Irons.
Regina
Cool
King
show.
knocks it out of the park.
Regina King is a legend.
It's just every single person in the show, you're like, oh, that's a great performance. Oh, that's a really great thing. And what comes out of it is a really good show.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So to kind of get back to the initial topic on hand, because we already have about 45 minutes, we got about 15 left. The Sell the Snyderverse to Netflix whole movement, we all agree that logistically not possible. Like, unless Warner Brothers fits most of the bill or forgives 90% of the legal paper trail, Netflix couldn't afford it. Forbes did this article on it that came out just yesterday.
Yep.
And this article dropped January 9th, 8:35 Eastern, so 5:30 my time. I woke up, saw this article, gave it a read, got a chuckle out of it because it hit the nail on the head kind of across the board.
Yep.
Right? I'm going to throw it up on the screen real fast so we can all see it. I love the title. Paul Tassi drops, Where to Start with the New Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix movement. When the history books of the internet are written, there should be an entire chapter devoted to the fan base of Zack Snyder's Justice League and the Snyderverse. It's a group that is more passionate about the superhero universe than fans of any other piece of media I have ever seen. So much so, they frequently come off as quite delusional. As he goes and explains himself, as he goes, he basically says kind of the obvious that a lot of people don't talk about. Warner Brothers greenlit the Snyder Cut solely to boost sales, boost subscribers of HBO Max.
Yes, sir.
The pandemic came out. It happened.
Yes, sir.
They had a new app that was coming. They needed to capture lightning in a ball to make this thing stand out.
Did Zack Snyder's Justice League come out before Wonder Woman 1984 or after?
Before
it.
Okay, so then, like anything else, it was also gearing up to a character that was very clearly based on this universe.
Yeah.
Right? It's all ads for Gal Gadot. Like, oh, I should keep this app for 6 months because when Christmas comes around, I get to watch her again.
Yeah, because it made its debut on HBO Max too, right?
In December.
Yeah, because it came out in theaters first. Cause I remember going to theaters to watch it, and then it dropped on HBO Max.
Yep.
But it wasn't that long after it dropped on HBO Max.
So he says it, even if it was mainly an obvious ploy to get HBO Max subscribes, but that was only the start. And the campaign after that was to get Snyder to return to finish his original Justice League storyline, along with fleshing out side projects like Ben Affleck's Batman movie or the Ayer Cut. So he acknowledges that the fans got what they wanted, He gave him an inch, and they took a mile, and they wanted 1,000 things more.
Yeah.
He then goes on to saying, but times have changed. DC now has a new firm, non-Snyder-based direction that is actually actively dismantling most of the remaining Zack started DCU, which it is. It has been for years. The Hamadaverse was built to destroy the Snyderverse from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that they did from the ground up was to either retcon or course correct what they didn't like about Zack Snyder's properties. Every one of those movies did just that. Aquaman changed everyone's accents, right? It made
That's right.
Atlantis not look old. It made it look like futuristic Tron City.
Yep.
Then you also had Thomas Curry being alive. Zack Snyder's Thomas Curry was dead.
I thought I was the only one who noticed that.
No,
his dad
Thomas Curry
was dead
in Zack
Snyder
Snyder's
too.
canon.
Yeah.
Right? Then you had the Flash movie. I mean, obviously they had to recast Billy Crudup because of his commitments with the morning show, I think, on Apple TV. Is that what he was busy with? But he's not coming back as Henry Allen. So they got a new actor for Henry Allen for the Flash movie. You had Black Adam, Shazam, all those things also kind of retcon their own ways and be their own weird things. Yeah. Birds of Prey. It kind of changed Harley Quinn's
the most awful film from the DCU.
I liked parts of it. I thought Ewan McGregor as Black Mask was the best casting.
Yeah,
everything he did on screen was amazing.
Taylor, she blew up a freaking chemical plant and nothing happened.
Oh yeah, there were so many like red flags. Like, why isn't she public enemy number one? Why isn't there SWAT going door to door? Like,
and wasn't there people in there? She killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
She's a terrible person. That's not a good movie. You're watching a bad person the entire movie.
There was red flags out the butt for that movie. The Suicide Squad also retconned the balance of power in the DCU by establishing that Amanda Waller not only had just started the Suicide Squad 5 years prior, but in those 5 years, or however many years, like 2, 3, 4 years, in that small amount of time, she also amassed an army of metahumans that people didn't believe existed, but now also has existed for the last 30 years.
When she was searching for him in the first movie.
Yeah.
She had heard about him in the first movie.
And you're telling me Captain Boomerang was the guy who went in there and took all of these metahumans out, all of these extremely powerful people. The Weasel was part of that team. What team is this that took these people down and put them into a jail cell? Yeah. I believe when the Justice League does it, because they got Superman there. Yeah. Who is your Superman?
Apparently the JSA, another retcon to the Snyder continuity. Because the Snyder continuity basically said, first, there was Superman. Oh, wait. But then Batman was there for 20 years prior. Oh, wait. Wonder Woman was there for 100 years prior. And they slowly kept retconning itself.
Oh, wait. Aquaman lives under the ocean for a couple hundred years. Yeah, I follow that stuff.
Oh, wait. Flash has been struck by lightning in a metahuman in the last few years. Like, they kept retconning themselves, right? Yeah. The reality is it was a messy continuity hodgepodge of a mess. And the Hamadaverse was replacing the Snyderverse every chance it got.
When Hamada said, I'm focusing on solo films, that was a slap to the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a slap in the face.
Yeah.
But it was also a slap at the previous administration because Zack wanted to focus on solo films and they made him do the Justice League.
That's right. You're right.
Yep.
So
he did. I remember that.
Yep. Yeah. Zack wanted to do solo. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He wanted to start the Marvel way, just a bunch of solo films, maybe do like the Avenger-style Justice League movie 10 films in. But they were like, nope, it's number 3. Here we go. But long story short, Peter Safran and James Gunn were hired solely to reboot because Black Adam failed in box office, and that was kind of it. But as the article kind of talks about was that the fans who clearly didn't support Black Adam started getting mad and started hashtagging "Fire James Gunn" on a daily basis because of the news.
Well, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to ask Prime. Prime, they say no publicity is bad publicity. But at a certain point, Forbes writes this kind of tongue-in-cheek article. At what point does the Forbes editor go, I don't want to hear nothing about the Zack Snyder thing. I don't care about it. I don't care about these kids online. Anytime you bring this hashtag to me, my fear is that the as this builds up and there is this continued level of like, oh, your mom's like, oh, those Zack Snyder kids are not good kids. At what point does this become more toxic than it is? When does this stop getting good publicity?
When you stop entertaining it.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly when. I'll tell you exactly when it becomes a problem and they stopped entertaining. It was that slide that we put up last week.
Oh, about them going down to Comic-Con. Yeah, going down to Comic-Con.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That was crazy. Prime, I seen that from you first. This is nuts, man.
That is when it all dies.
Right. That's right there. When I saw that literally pissed me off. Because for the simple fact is now y'all really going out of bounds. You don't do that. That's something you don't do. At the time when we was campaigning for the Snyder Cut, I get it. Because we knew what we was fighting for because we knew it was available. That right there,
right?
That's ludicrous. And they feel entitled because you got something. Okay? So now with them acting like this, sad to say this because it makes me upset to even think it. I don't even think we're gonna get the haircut now. Just for the simple fact of the way they've been acting.
I'm gonna let everyone know that's a big deal because Prime up until today has been like, nah, haircut's still on the table. You'll be surprised. Wait till you were saying a couple weeks ago, wait till Comic-Con, but you're right, because as this world becomes more and more toxic, you're just gonna see them. They've already removed all the tent poles. And again, I say this as a joke all the time to Taylor. I'm scared about Blue Beetle. I'm scared that, that if these things don't come out, they might go the way of Batgirl or Batwoman.
They may basically say that the drama is not worth the release and let's just get the tax cut. And they may kill Blue Beetle. They may kill Aquaman 2 because Aquaman 2 is already suffering from the fact that its supporting actress is a dumpster fire of a press target.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of these issues and it's just
Amber Heard as a person I don't like. Amber Heard as Mira.
It's fine.
I like her as Mira, but as a person,
Mira. I love it. I love it. But as a person, no sir. No sir.
If you don't separate the actor from the art, then you're never going to like anything in Hollywood. And I keep telling people that.
Right.
You definitely right. Because Hollywood, some crazy stuff that goes on there.
Like Hollywood. Harvey Weinstein is a monster.
Yeah.
We all agree, right?
Yep. We agree.
Good Will Hunting is not a monsters movie. It's amazing. Right. Everyone needs to see it.
I love it.
Bill Cosby is a human being.
Right.
But the Cosby Show was a tentpole of my childhood.
Right.
Pudding pop.
Right? So it's like you have to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, you do.
Otherwise, you're going to hate everything.
You do.
Yep. Exactly.
But as this Forbes article goes on, it keeps talking about like the fans are now pitching that Warner Brothers Discovery keep James Gunn. They stopped tweeting the fire James Gunn stuff, but now they want the rights to be sold to Netflix. And he's even like, the idea seems to be that Zack Snyder currently has a lucrative deal with Netflix, which producing original films. Netflix already bought one of the VFX studios that worked on Justice League, so some of the work's already done. And Netflix lacks its own Marvel DC franchise, so the Snyderverse could fill that gap. And that's the logic that the fans are bringing to the table.
But this is the thing. First off, you already messed up with James Gunn when you said boycott Warner Brothers, fire James Gunn. Do you think James Gunn sees that and he like you?
Right.
Do you think he like you seeing that?
And there's another thing that you fail to realize too that people did not get. It was from, it was something that I read this as well, and another reason why this probably will never happen. Now, from what has been said, David Zaslav does not like Netflix practices.
Not at all.
Because they do not at all. Because they don't pay their producers on time. They don't pay them until like maybe 12 to 24 months after.
Wow.
Yeah. I know that. Yeah. He don't like their practices. So you already have a dilemma there with that. So just think about it. If you put the rights out and you
in the back of his mind, he's probably thinking, if we lease this deal, are we ever going to get our cut?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why
Prime, like you told me way in the beginning, you said David Zaslav is the fix-it man. His only job is to cut costs, save money, and make money.
Yep.
So doing a big budget thing at Netflix, it's not going to happen because Warner is in a hole right now. They're doing bad.
They are
you
in
trying to
red.
pay out.
But at the same time, they're going to outsource these properties. They're going to outsource them, but they're going to give them to companies where they know that they're going to have good business with them. What's the direction that how you're going to utilize these characters? And are the shareholders are really going to invest?
So Prime, you think they're
this.
gonna do like Sony has Spider-Man, Fox got X-Men. You think DC is about to do that?
I don't. I personally don't. I think what they're probably going to do is kind of like what Netflix has with Sandman. Like some of the lesser known properties could be leased off. Like Netflix
Got you.
will continue their.
Okay. Well, then
that
here's
project.
a question. Where is Keanu Reeves' Constantine going to go?
It's still going to stay with WB. It was.
Yeah, that's going to be a WB.
You don't think that partners with anybody else? You think that's just that's going to be like the old Keanu Reeves Matrix deals of the past?
I see what you said because Sandman
is
Sandman and Constantine is in that same realm.
Yes.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Right. What he's saying is that even though he's a DC character, the Constantine movie has already been, how should I say, it has been lit by Warner Brothers Pictures. It has not been done by DC.
Keanu Reeves said he'll stop doing John Wick for a year to do this movie that he wants to do. The fact that he said he wants to do it is why it's going to happen.
And I can't wait.
I can't wait. And he's going to do it. That's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of, now there's a thing that they're saying too, is that let's just say hypothetically this did happen. It'll cause a lot of chaos and confusion with a lot of people. That's why I said it has merit. It sounds good, but it'll cause a lot of confusion. If you got the Snyderverse and all that stuff on Netflix and you let Gunn and them do what they got to do at DC Studios, that's going to cause a lot of
is Prime. You just nailed it. That's exactly why they won't do it.
Giving your competitor a product to compete with your own product is suicide.
And you know that's true because
it'll cause too much confusion. It's too much chaos.
And they know that within the industry because look at what Kevin Feige did to Fox. He crippled all of those X-Men movies and said, nope, you don't get any of this stuff because we might do something with the Skrulls. They did do something with the Skrulls, but there was a ton of storylines in the last X-Men movies that all had to get changed. The whole ending of the New Mutants movie had to get changed because they couldn't get rights to the character they wanted.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. But this article points one thing out right off the bat. They said the logistics is a serious problem. Here's on the Warner Brothers side. Why would they agree to spinning out what would essentially be a competing DC universe to their own, freshly rebooted DC universe? What amount of money could they possibly make that would be worthwhile to them? And it wouldn't just be a rival universe. It would be something airing on their biggest competitor's platform. We're talking billions of dollars in terms of making this deal worthwhile on their end. And even then, it still may not be worth it because the convoluted mess it would produce for DC as a property.
That's on point right there, what you just said. I try to make people just know kind of, you know what's going on in Hollywood. When I tell them something like this, I say, you have $1 million. Would you invest all that into this Snyderverse, or would you invest all that when it's your money? Then you will second guess yourself. Hey, I might not need to do that because that's not good on my investment. And that's exactly what these people are doing.
Right.
Warner, DC, they're investing billions and millions into these movies.
Right.
So Netflix,
yeah,
that's not going to triple my money up.
Right.
Because it's not going straight to theaters, only going to streaming.
Right. And where are those players going? Right. Where did Henry Cavill go? Henry Cavill went over to Amazon to go play with his toys. Right. So So where are these people going to go? Ben Affleck says, I don't want to be in acting no more. Okay. Well, he's out. You know what I mean? Gal Gadot, same thing. It's like she wants to do this Wonder Woman, but she's not doing a ton of movies a year.
They're
right.
done.
What is she doing?
I think they're done.
The Justice League. She even said it.
I think the Justice League is done. I think they're done. All of them is done. Even Jason Momoa, he want to be Lobo now. They're done.
Jason Momoa wants to be Lobo now. He already said his dream project is coming true.
It's only the hope of the fans, and I'm not even saying the fans that think. It's the emotional fans, the childish fans, the toxic fans.
I call them the cult.
They're not thinking exactly. They're not thinking from a business standpoint. They're thinking from a fan emotional standpoint.
Yeah. And Forbes even points out logistically, like we've been saying for the better part of an hour, makes no sense for Netflix either. On Netflix's side, why would Netflix pay billions of dollars to access the Snyderverse, and then on top of that, presumably have to fund some of the most massively expensive types of movie in existence, superhero crossover films, like the two Justice League sequels fans want? And they'd be doing it without any promise of box office returns because Netflix does not make movies that do lengthy theatrical runtimes. So even if you want to make an argument that the Snyderverse was a financial windfall for WB, which is debatable, that hinged entirely on those movies being in theaters, and as vocal as they be, there's not enough Snyderverse diehard fans on the earth that would drive enough new subscribers to Netflix to make it a worthwhile purchase.
None of them.
The sad reality is that the Snyderverse on a streaming platform is not financially sound.
Nope.
And streaming platforms do not make money off of dumping $1 billion into a product. They don't.
Taylor, you can break it down to these guys all day, every day, and like Prime say, bring the facts, and they will still think you're an idiot for saying no. There's no way that can happen.
Right.
All right. I'll say this. All right. The only likelihood that the Snyderverse would ever get financially restored is if tomorrow somebody wins that $1 billion Mega Million Powerball and funds it and goes to Warner Brothers and says, I will finance $500 million of my own cash to make this happen. And then Warner Brothers will be like, fuck it, sure.
And nobody on Earth is going to do that. Nobody on this planet Earth is going to do that.
It's not possible.
It's not possible. Yep.
Logistically, it's not possible. Logistically, all of the actors are pretty much done anyways. They've all found new jobs. Every time a product is canceled and then gets revived later on, you have windfall. You always do.
It feels like we're just looking at Mr. Freeze's dead wife under glass, and they're like, maybe if we bring her back to life this time, she's never coming to back. And the problem is these conversations, I don't think these conversations are bad, and we can mourn all this stuff, but there's so many exciting conversations in the future. Like, who Dave Bautista going to be in the DC?
Probably Bane.
He doesn't want to work for Marvel anymore. Who is he going to be in the DC movies? Right? Like, there are so many great stuff moving forward, and the fact that we get to relaunch all of this with new energy and a new flavor of all these people is so exciting. But we still talking about old news. We talking 2016 news.
And the last thing I want to say, so people can actually understand this as well. All right. Even though Zack Snyder may want to do it, that man, him and Deborah, has so much on their plate. They're doing their thing at the Stone Quarry. And remember, I said this again, and I believe this. And people, a lot of people gonna be like, "I'm right." People gonna say that I'm right about this. Once Rebel Moon comes out and it's highly successful, all right, which we already know it is,
and we need that.
So
movie. What
we know from the grapevine and the news that I've heard, not from, I'm talking about people that was on the set, people that was already there. Yeah. Zach has like 6 movies in the works with that. He already did 2. From what we know, he has 6. That's from just my understanding. Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon's part 1 and 2 aren't even done filming. He finished part 1.
Which also means Netflix paid for all these props. If they already built these sets, if you can use it once, do it again.
Exactly.
Keep doing it.
And then last but not least, and I said this and I'm going to stick to it. What did Netflix, what IP did Netflix just get?
Gears of War.
There you go. And they're going to be overlooking, did a deal with the Coalition. They have an auteur director in their grasp. And who was one of the best visionaries out there?
Bro, if they get Zach to do Gears of War, I wouldn't even care about Snyderverse anymore, bro.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And what makes it even better is that who is already the front runner to play Marcus Phoenix?
Batista. Yeah.
There you go.
And Batista is perfect casting, bro.
You already like put a picture of him in the armor. It says it sells itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So people, this is what I'm saying. If Zach does Gears of War, just like Fatal said, you think It's over. It's over.
Yeah.
You can leave. Just go
Honestly,
somewhere and sit down.
I keep saying this. The moment Zach signed a first look deal with Netflix, it was over.
Yes.
First look deal meant he was unavailable even if they wanted to bring it back. And fans would not be happy any other way. Look, if Zach's tomorrow, if this miracle happens, someone does win the Mega Million, someone gets that $1 billion payout, goes finances it themselves, makes the deal happen. Holy shit, the internet's broken. This is insane. Destroys Hollywood. It happens, right? Say it happens. Say they get the funding just to make it a thing. The moment Zach recasts even one of those core heroes.
Yep.
Not my Snyderverse. Hashtag not my Snyderverse.
Yep.
Taylor, I'll take it even deeper than that, okay? Because Prime, I feel like Zack Snyder want to do it, but he doesn't want to do it. And I'm going to tell you why. One of you guys came out with a movie, okay? The movie about horses who poop out gumdrops, okay?
Okay.
You own every bit of that movie. You own the characters, you wrote it, you did all that stuff, you own that.
I know where you're
okay.
going.
When you drop your project, you're gonna make twice or thrice as much as you did on somebody else's IP that you don't own, and you have to take orders from people because you can't use that character, you can't do this, you can't do that. But on your horse that poop gumdrops, you can do anything you want because it's yours, and you're making thrice as much as you did on the IP that you didn't own.
When you
So
write,
common
produce, and
sense have
direct
to
a
come-
project, it's all yours.
Common sense has to kick in.
And I think
So
Netflix from that, I think they only get what? If don't get me if I'm wrong, I think it's 25 to 30%.
So also look at
Yeah.
it this way, and this will be my final
I
point
know.
of the show.
Right.
When Disney bought Star Wars, okay, remember how they paid $4 billion and they bought Star Wars.
Right.
They immediately went into not doing George Lucas's plans because they didn't want to pay royalties to George Lucas. Then they had to create a whole new franchise of 3 movies, create all new planets, all new. They couldn't even call the characters the Rebel Alliance. They were now the Resistance. They had to rename everything because despite spending $4 billion to broker this deal, they still had to pay royalties.
And they didn't get a visionary. They tried to tempt JJ. JJ didn't want to do it. So what happened is we had a fractured vision of it. Half the people hated this way. The other half hated what they did in The Last Jedi.
Oh my
right?
God.
Right?
I'm a Last Jedi hater.
Listen, hate away. The movie's better than you think it is. It's a lot better than what you think it is.
Visually, it's beautiful. Story-wise,
I will play devil's advocate and say, like, to me, The Last Jedi is very similar to the fourth Indiana Jones movie, where if you change 3 or 4 scenes, it's a perfect movie. But those 3 or 4 scenes ruin it for most people.
Yeah,
I definitely agree.
Yeah. And also,
definitely agree.
I'd like to give a prediction right here now that whatever this next Indiana Jones movie will also have 3 or 4 scenes that ruin the entire movie for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know what those 3 or 4 scenes are going to be. I'm just going to let us know. We're all going to talk about that movie. Like, I really like that movie. Except when he did this, except when he did this, except when he did this.
As long as he don't step in the ice box to avoid a nuclear bomb, what the freak was that? A refrigerator stops a nuclear bomb?
It was lead inside, bro.
It was lead, so he was safe.
Yeah.
Not only the fact that he flew 100 feet in the air and landed on the ground and didn't like turn into jelly. Yeah.
I was done after that. I was done, man.
My problem with, listen, God, I'm talking Old Testament God is on Indiana Jones's side. My problem with that movie is they messed up that formula by going, but what if it was aliens? Like it was, they ruined all the establishment of all that.
No, you could try to rationalize. He survived the fridge thing because he drank from the chalice that gave him immortality. So
sure,
he can't die by physical harm. He'll just die of old age. Like you could rationalize that, right?
I guess so, man.
But at the same time, it's like
I forgot about that.
You pulled
At the same
straws,
time,
Taylor.
That scene was trash.
Yeah, it was trash.
Flying through the trees with the monkeys was trash. Mutt using a snake as a rope was trash.
Yeah.
Was that the one where the ants, the big ants, come and bite the car? The ants climb on the car and it goes.
That was
into the
actually a pretty
ground?
fun scene. It wasn't as crazy as the rest of the scenes. Like I could buy that scene.
Yeah,
but no.
They also messed up by just they should have just kept it Nazis. Yes, Nazis. Always Nazis.
Hey, at least the new one has the Nazis.
Yeah,
and
for sure. Well, they picked up on their problem.
Real
Yeah,
quick,
they're
which
like-
one y'all like better, Temple of Doom or Last Crusade?
Last
Oh,
Crusade.
Temple of Doom.
What?
Taylor, Temple of Doom has really grown on me over the years.
I like the Temple of Doom, but the Last Crusade is like my favorite indie movie.
See,
You know what?
Raiders
I gotta
Raiders
rewatch
is
it.
my favorite. Raiders
You didn't
is
put
my
that on the
favorite.
table though. You didn't say I could choose Raiders.
But
You said
gave me-
between those
you
two.
gave me a choice.
I
So
was
I gotta watch Last Crusade again. It's been a while.
It's
You know,
so
I just
good.
got
And Sean
finished watching
Connery is
Last
just
Crusade is dope.
perfect.
Last Crusade is dope. I'm gonna have to go with Last Crusades myself, bro.
Last Crusade. I gotta rewatch it. Matter of fact, since you said that, I'm gonna watch it once we get done. I'm
yeah.
gonna go ahead
But
and
the
go
bet-
watch it.
Go watch
The
the
bet-
damn movie.
The best one of all time to me, FatalJay, is Raiders. Nothing touches Raiders. Bro.
Raiders
I mean, Lost
is
Ark
amazing.
is off the hook.
Yeah, but Raiders is amazing, bro. Raiders,
Right,
is,
Raiders of the Lost Ark is off the hook.
Yeah.
Raiders is amazing. I love it, man.
man.
I wanted to be when I watched that movie. I said, "Damn, I want to be Indiana
Listen,
Jones."
if we're
wanna
talking
feel.
about good movies from the past, that means we are all done talking about this Netflix deal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
We can close
All
up
right.
shop now.
We pretty much like we all said our piece. It's not possible. It's never going to happen. It's dead on arrival. And like the article says, but expecting to see it trending often, culminating in what appears to be a big push in February, according to the instructions I'm seeing online. Good luck. You'll need it.
I
Because-
told Taylor,
Hey,
I
look.
said this. I remember telling Taylor this though. Okay, you're gonna see this. You're gonna, because even James Gunn said you're gonna see blowback. But when he dropped that slate, and when he dropped that casting, and when he dropped that trailer, the voice is gonna get lower, lower,
Yeah.
and lower, and then but before you know, it's gonna be whispers, and
Yeah.
then it's gonna disappear.
And I've been saying this since
gonna disappear.
November or December, whenever it was. The moment this kid becomes Superman,
Who is
no
that?
one's going to give a shit.
Who is
You know
that
what?
dude?
That look good. Put that back up.
I know that
Look.
look, that did look pretty good. Who is that
He
actor?
look
He's
so bad.
That is Wolfgang Novogratz. He is 25 years old. He's 6 foot something. He is.
he even got the
Pretty much.
chisel.
He's got that Superman face. Like he was the only name that I've heard behind the scenes as being someone considered.
Wow.
Well,
Whether or
That's
not
a
it
big
being a
choice.
real thing, who knows? Because I've heard it from
Who
a few
knows?
different people, and I'm not sure if it predates the fan casting or what happened. But the reality is that the fans
All-
are behind it, and someone at Warner Brothers brought his name up too.
Mm.
I'll put it like this: I got faith in James Gunn and Sheffer and what they're gonna do. I really
Yeah.
do.
Me too.
Especially after, well, that's another discussion for another day. But that supposed leaked picture for the slate or whatever that actually came out, that actually was, you know,
Not a thing.
it's
I
not
would
a
love
thing.
it to be a
but
thing, but it's not a thing.
I love it to be too, but you know, it's good to just, you know,
you
It's
you
good to
guys
be.
might y'all might disagree with me. And I know he wasn't the director, but I know he had his foot in it. The reason why I got confidence in James Gunn making a good Superman movie and a universe, but let's focus on Superman. I'm just gonna say 2 words: Brightburn.
So good.
Yeah, that's what, and that's what, and Taylor has said that as well. You know, regardless of what you think personally of James Gunn's movies, you know, he understands a variety of genres, understands flavor of films. They
Yeah, he
can be
does.
funny, they can be serious. Our heroes can be flawed. He's got a great movie with Rainn Wilson about a guy who wants to be a superhero who hits people on the head with a hammer and kills
Super.
them called Super.
It's
which
so
is
dark.
which is very dark, but again, these
Super?
called Super. It's a low budget movie. It's got
Okay.
but I just feel that
Rainn Wilson
You're-
and Ellen Page. It's
you're going to
actually-
have a
sit down and
person
watch it.
with a vision of where we're going to build with these things, and they're going to start off small, but they're going to get to that bigger spot, and we just got to give them time to grow all this stuff.
Yeah. But I love what James Gunn said in that tweet post. He said he knew he was going to get blowback. So I think he got this whole thing scripted out. He know what's going to happen this month, what's going to happen this month, what's going to happen this month. So it's going to work out, man. I think he's going to do some good things. He know how to create a universe. He know how to do things with characters that are unknown to the public and make them lovable. You know how many people ready to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
100%. 100%.
Oh yeah, day one IMAX. I'm going.
Yeah.
I said I was done with Marvel completely, but I will go see Guardians. I will go see it. I'm going to go see it because I'm intrigued to actually see how it's all going to end at the end for it. I said I was done with Marvel. I don't want to deal with nothing with Marvel no more, but I'll make this exception outside of Blade, because Blade is the only thing that I want to see. I'll watch Guardians. I'll watch it.
DC, through James Gunn, has already established some of their villains through the Suicide Squad. DC has a hero problem, and we got to get some heroes on film. We need to know who is the faction that's going to butt all these people, because they keep shoving Amanda Waller in these movies like, oh, okay, look who's here. And it's like, she is the bad guy. Do you understand that she is one of the avenues of evil of this world? You keep just throwing her around like, oh, good, she's here. It's like, no. Who is the good version of her? That's what we got to build out on.
Batman.
Man, it's
Batman.
too much.
And we don't have a Batman yet. I mean, there's so many people we haven't filled in yet.
I mean,
yo, you think it's going to be Patterson? You think
No,
they're going
I
to
don't.
build up?
no,
They're
it
going to
ain't
build
Patterson.
him
That's,
up? Okay.
Reeves don't got nothing to do with it. Reeves already stated, hell no. His
This
thing is his
is
thing. He doing
But this
his
is
own
my thing, though. This is how I feel. And I like Patterson as an actor. But can we hurry up and get rid of his story so we can just focus on one Batman? Because
Nah, brah.
two Batman going on at the same time. That don't
But you
feel
gotta
good
remember,
to
it's
me.
Elseworld. That's what Guns and Sefrin is going for.
But I don't
And
care.
I'm thinking,
I want it just
I'm
to be
thinking,
one.
You remember that part?
Right.
Remember that part in Batman and Robin where Batman pulls out that Batman credit card? Batman prints money. Batman always sells well. Even
Yeah, that's
bad
true.
Batman sells well.
Yeah.
Batman ain't going anywhere. We're going to have at least 2, maybe 3 interpretations of Batman.
that's kind of messed up because
That's what I'm saying. It just don't feel right to have two at the same time.
I mean, no, it's
You know?
just that Batman has overtaken Superman as the main one.
Well, it's been like that for
Maybe.
years, though, bro.
Yeah, I know, but I think.
I mean,
now,
hell, it's called DC Comics, not
Bro,
Action Comics.
you want to know why? Mostly why? Christopher Reeves, Henry Cavill, that's a big gap. I'm talking about in years.
Yeah.
Okay, in between those years, you don't have multiple Batman films.
Yeah, I mean, you had
You
a lot.
know?
I mean, you had
Yeah.
Brandon Routh, but
Yeah, but that's still a long gap between
yeah,
Christopher
but
Reeves
Superman. And the only reason
Yeah.
why they didn't do it, like they say, I don't want to. It's because they just didn't know how to utilize Superman, man. They want to keep it cheap as much as possible, and didn't really want to go into more of the cosmic and godly like stuff with Cal.
It's a
and
super
Tillman
cheap
stuff.
movie. It's Superman showing up and talking in rooms. And then they go to a boat and they talk into a room and a kid
Yeah.
moves a piano. It's like nothing happens in
and
that
they was
movie.
on a freaking island at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it is, man.
But I love that scene when he the airplane.
That's
The
a good
airplane.
scene. Yeah, that's
Now
probably the best scene.
that's Superman right there, bro.
Yes. The
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
scene of the movie where they spent money like a Superman movie. Yeah, that's a really great scene where Superman does the Superman. They really should have done that shit over and over and over again.
Yeah. You're right. Man.
Oh.
But on that note,
Yeah, let's thank our guests for being here.
thanks,
Oh,
Jay.
man.
Thanks, Prime. Thanks for coming in and being a part of this.
Anytime.
Man, I love just sitting up here and listening to you guys stream every week, man. I said I need to hop on and add my little tidbit to it, you know.
Whatever we decide next week, I'll try to bring you on ahead of time. I'll let you guys know, both of you guys know what our topic is before we jump on.
Okay.
But for everyone at home watching this,
Fatal
thank you.
J, Prime's not an anime guy. Are you an anime guy?
To the core since I was 7
I'm an
years old.
anime guy. I just been out of it. I just
I
ain't
get
watched.
Uh,
I get it, okay? But when you tell me you've been out of it, that means you're not really part of the core.
Mike,
You know what I mean?
Mike,
I
let me
got
tell you
you. I
something.
got you.
Mike, let me tell you something real quick. I know you're trying to end the show. I was 7 years old. We used to have a VHS rent store. Okay.
Yeah.
My mom, if I did good in school, every Friday she would take me there. I could rent games and I can rent VHS tapes. Okay.
What fucked up anime did you see at way too early of an age?
The first anime I seen that.
And why was it Ninja Scroll?
How did you know that?
Always, it's your age, baby. It's your age. It's that ninja scroll. It just got us. It just got us.
Bro? Okay, I said, okay, cool. A ninja is probably like Ninja Turtles. This is my 7-year-old mind. I popped that bad boy in. My mom and dad, they're asleep. Everybody now asleep. I'm seeing boobs. I'm seeing blood. I'm seeing killing. I'm seeing demons.
Yeah.
I said, I like this anime stuff. Bro, that was the first anime I ever saw was Ninja
Yeah.
Scroll, bro.
And you know what? My very first anime that I saw, it was Akira. That was my
That was my second one. I saw that on
Akira
TV.
was my first one.
I saw that on TV because it used to be on the Sci-Fi channel called
Fatal-
Saturday Anime.
Holy shit, FatalJay. I also saw Akira at 6:30 in the morning on Sci-Fi Channel. Didn't know what it was, and it was the scariest thing I had ever seen. There was babies and milk and a man flying. Terrifying. And I said, I got to get me into that anime. I got to get me more of that.
Ever since then, I've been hooked, man.
Then Fist of the North Star was my second. And once I saw Fist of the North Star, I was like, it's a wrap.
And this is the kicker about anime. It just throughout the years is getting better. It's just getting better. Attack on Titans.
I know.
That's my number one show of all time, bro.
I gotta start
Michael and
watching.
I were talking before the show that the Gundam series just ended its first season. That finale was amazing. The after credit scene made me scream at the TV because I wasn't expecting it. Apparently, season 2 is coming in April, right around the corner. Oh my God, yes. Trigun just started. Super good. I had one gripe, but super good.
It's really good,
really good. So many things right now in anime. My Hero Academia is doing great. Apparently, Demon Slayer's coming back in a few months. And
My Hero Academia and One Punch Man. Why are they really showing DC and Marvel how to make superhero genre?
I was just about to say that, Prime. If you want to know, if you want to see what like a nothing hero team to amazing, My Hero Academia, they bridge the gap between Marvel and DC heroes in a very fun anime way. But it's the best storytelling of it's the best X-Men story going on right now.
Prime, One Punch Man and My Hero, that's like Marvel and DC at its peak. Okay,
yes, Prime, go on to Hulu, watch the first season of One Punch Man, and tell us afterwards if it wasn't the best thing you've seen in a while.
Exactly.
Then watch the first season of My Hero Academia. Say the same thing. Watch just one season of each. That's all you need. And you'll be like, damn, I'm back into anime.
I don't think you should tell him to watch these shows because he's got responsibilities. You can't just watch one season of this. You're going to lose a whole weekend. You got to feed kids and stuff.
I'm going to watch it because look like I said, I got stuff to watch. Y'all giving me stuff because my slate is clean. So I didn't really pretty much caught up a lot of stuff. Y'all feeding me anime and I got to get back into anime. I've been out of it.
Do it.
I really have. And I really want to get back into
it. You love the superhero genre. So listen to Taylor. One Punch Man and My Hero. Just check them two out by itself because you love the hero genre. Bro, you're going to be like, dang, Marvel and DC need to step it up. They need to step it up.
Anyway, because the comics are trash.
Real talk.
All right. On that note, thank you all for joining us this week, everybody. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon for those of you who do. And if you don't support us and you want to help us out, head over to Patreon. There's a bunch of different tiers. We've got some new shows coming out at the end of this month. We got a new movie review show and a show dedicated solely to comic books. That'll be debuting on Wednesdays and Fridays at the end of this month. We're still working on an anime show and a gaming show, but right now we've got 4 shows for the TCN channel that'll be live the last week of this month going forward. So fantastic news for everybody. I have been your host, Taylor Murphy, my co-host, Michael Sentel. Thank you to our Patreon supporters for helping us do what we do. And if you are sitting at home and you like what we do, scan that QR code, subscribe to this channel, check us out on all the various platforms, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.